Every crime leaves a trail of evidence. Every criminal leaves a trace. This is Felonies Uncovered.
What if the person you fell in love with was never real? What if the life they promised was a carefully constructed lie?
For years, Derek Alldred convinced women across the country that he was a man of success, honor, and integrity. A decorated military officer. A doctor. A professor. A man with a promising future. To the people who met him, he seemed intelligent, confident, and trustworthy. But behind that carefully created image was something much darker. Derek Alldred was not just telling a few lies. He was building entire identities, complete with uniforms, medals, credentials, and stories designed to make people believe he was someone he was not. Because the most powerful lies are the ones that look like the truth. Derek Alldred understood something important. People don't just believe what they hear. They believe what they see. And he knew exactly how to create that image. He would appear as a decorated Navy pilot, a man who claimed to have served his country. He wore military-style uniforms. He displayed medals. He carried identification badges. He surrounded himself with details that made his stories feel authentic. The smallest things were often the most convincing. A uniform hanging in a closet. A badge left on a table. A document placed where someone would discover it. Nothing seemed forced, it looked like proof. And that was the secret behind his deception. He didn't just ask people to believe his stories, he created a world where those stories appeared impossible to question. But the truth was, the man behind the uniform was hiding a much different identity. To the women Derek Alldred targeted, he wasn't just a stranger. He became someone they trusted. Someone they believed they could build a future with. He presented himself as successful, responsible, and committed. But behind the charm, there was a pattern. When questions started to appear, there was always an explanation. A sudden military assignment. A secret mission. A medical emergency.
I can't explain everything.
A reason why he
Just
couldn't
trust
answer. These stories
How can I
created
believe
distance,
you?
and that distance gave him time to continue the illusion. The more someone cared about him, the harder it became to question him, because manipulation doesn't always look like control. Sometimes, it looks like someone asking you to trust them. And Derek Alldred knew exactly how to use that trust. The question became, how could someone maintain so many lies for so long? The answer was control. Derek Alldred didn't just create fake identities, he created emotional situations that made people want to believe him. When money problems appeared, there was always a reason.
Where did all of our savings go?
I told you, it is for the assignment.
When questions were asked, there was always an excuse. He used emergencies and personal struggles to redirect attention away from the truth. The deception wasn't only about money. It was about trust. He built relationships with people who believed they knew him, then used that trust to gain access to their lives. Credit cards, personal information, family belongings, financial resources. Little by little, the person they thought they loved was taking advantage of them.
I would never put us at risk.
But eventually, the perfect story began to show cracks. Small details started becoming impossible to ignore.
Where is the
Money
money?
began disappearing. Personal belongings went missing. Questions that once seemed easy to dismiss started becoming harder to explain.
Where is the money?
It is for our future.
Some victims noticed that the stories did not always match. The details changed. The excuses became more frequent. And the person they thought they knew started to feel like a stranger. But one of the biggest breakthroughs did not come from law enforcement. It came from the women themselves. One victim became suspicious of Alldred's claims and began looking deeper into his life. What she discovered would change everything. Because hidden behind the man she trusted was evidence of other relationships, other names, and other women who believed the exact same story.
He told me he needed the money for deployment.
Instead of staying silent, the victims decided to do something unexpected.
We are not going to let him get away with this.
They started talking to each other.
Look at this document.
One message led to another. One conversation revealed another connection. Slowly, the truth began coming together. These women were not dealing with separate incidents. They were uncovering a much larger pattern. They compared messages. They shared information. They documented dates, locations, and stories. They began building a timeline of deception. The very people Derek Alldred tried to isolate became the people who exposed him. They turned their experiences into evidence, and together, they created something he never expected. A team of investigators working against the man who fooled them.
At first, the explanation seemed simple. But as investigators examined the timeline, small details began to reveal a different story. Of the most complex crimes, investigators must piece together every digital shadow. A pattern begins to emerge, revealing the final moment.
The timeline didn't add up. Every piece of evidence told a story. But there was one glaring inconsistency. This changed everything.
As the evidence grew, so did the scope of the investigation. The women discovered that Derek Alldred had been using multiple identities across several states. He claimed different careers, different backgrounds, even different names. Yet the pattern never changed. Gain trust. Move into their lives. Take control of their finances. Then disappear, before the truth caught up with him. The victims organized emails, photographs, financial records, text messages, and copies of the false credentials he had used. What began as individual heartbreak had become a detailed case file. Armed with overwhelming evidence, they brought their findings to investigators. This time, the evidence was impossible to ignore. And the search for Derek Alldred entered its final chapter. The investigation soon reached federal authorities. Working with the evidence gathered by the victims, investigators were finally able to track Derek Alldred down. In 2017, his years of deception came to an end. He was arrested. The fake identities, the fabricated military stories, the false promises, were no longer enough to protect him. As the case moved through federal court, investigators uncovered the true extent of his fraud. Victims had lost their savings. Their identities had been stolen. Their trust had been shattered.
Derek Alldred's web of lies finally unraveled. The man who created so many fake identities was finally caught. Derek Alldred constructed a world of complete deception. But in the end, the only identity left was that of a convicted felon. Behind every investigation is a story waiting to be uncovered, a trail of evidence, a search for the truth.